One of the things that parents do that is a part of a parent-child relational problem is blame themselves for things that are not our fault. The first one is ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Keep in mind that most ACEs are not preventable. A great example is the pandemic. The pandemic came along and affected your child. Didn't matter if you're a nice person or a good parent or that you wanted the best for your child. The pandemic comes along and it's going to affect your child and their mental health, like it or not. That is not a preventable thing, and that is not your fault. Number two, life events, not your fault. As parents, we blame ourselves for literally everything that happens to our kids. We feel bad that our child is left out of the birthday party. We start to think, maybe I should have either helped my child identify nice friends better or taught them better social skills. This is not your fault. Number three, developmental disabilities, not your fault. As a psychologist, I have seen this 1,000 times, more times than I can count. A mother of a child with ADHD or autism would call me on the phone or come into my office completely mortified about something that her child had done. Maybe they disrobed in front of other kids. Maybe they were throwing a tantrum instead of going to the carpet to read with the other kids. Maybe they did a totally rude gesture or an obscene gesture at the lunch table. It happens. When that happens, parents, that is not your fault. Even if you are the most wonderful parent in the world, kids with developmental disabilities like autism and ADHD and mental health issues, they're going to be challenging. And that, and their behaviors, not your fault. Your next one is number 4, developmental trauma and heartbreak. Also, not your fault. Research continues to show that for most people, including our kids, we have something called a developmental trauma. This does not mean that you're a bad parent or that you come from a bad home. What it does mean is that if there's a point in our development where our needs go unmet and we have a sense of distress or threat to self, unhealthy coping patterns will emerge. For example, if you feel like you can't trust people, you learn just to trust yourself. If you feel like people won't attune to your needs, you focus on attuning to other people's needs. Now, keep in mind that no trauma is a life sentence to misery. People are very resilient. The important thing is to be aware if there's a pattern like that that's showing up in your household so that you can do something about it and begin to cope differently. Number 5 is your child's behavior, not your fault. Yes, I said it. You are not in control of your child's behaviors. Unfortunately, you have probably been told something to the contrary 1,000 times. We live in a world where people like to believe that we're in control of our kids. You run out of the grocery store after your child throws a fit in the candy aisle. You stand in horror as you watch your preschool child take the other kid's toy and then push them on the ground. You are in fear of your in-laws coming as you imagine the snarky little comments that your child's going to make. Remember, parents, these behaviors are not your fault. Our suffering from feeling embarrassed and bad about our child's behaviors is completely wasted energy.